Thank you, Rabbi Alter, for your kind words and for your beautiful introduction. I graduated Yeshiva University in 1971, and at that point in time decided to venture out to Eretz Yisrael, and Baruch Hashem, it was probably the most transformative experience in my entire life. It metamorphosed me. My father, Shlomo, wanted me to get a real job, not in the world of Klei Kodesh, the world of Chinuch, and somehow I went off the derech entirely. At the end, Baruch Hashem, he was not unhappy, and my parents made Aliyah. My mother worked for Apollo Mizrahi for many, many years, voluntarily, and they also ultimately landed in Eretz Yisrael. When I came to Eretz Yisrael, I was in the yeshiva called Itri, and after a month, they attempted to convince me to make Aliyah. And so I said I have to go ahead and consult one of the Yisrael to see what my halachic stance is. Thank you very, very much. Shekrach. Technology. And so they told me to consult Hagon of Zalman Auerbach. I had no clue who he was. And I'll just share with you a short vignette of what happened. I come to his home and I knock on the door and I ask, Ha'im ze habayit shel Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He answered the door himself and he said, Korim lo Shlomo Zalman. They call me Shlomo Zalman. I said, Aval ani mechapes Harav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He says, Abba v'Ima karuli Shlomo Zalman v'natnu li Torah shel Rav Gamkein. So I figured I was in the right place. I come inside. In about 3 minutes, he tells me, I have no intention of making Aliyah, which I didn't at that point in time. I should hold 2 days of Chag, no problem. Then I told him I have many questions I would like to ask him. He said, with a massive smile, sit down. That's Chabek, make yourself comfortable. What language should we conduct this dialogue in? Yiddish. I don't speak any English, he told me. It's not Yiddish or Hebrew. So I grew up on Yiddish, it's my mama Lashon. But I decided Hebrew would be better, and that's what he spoke. And in the course of it, I'm asking him a series of questions. I came with my yellow notepad, and about half hour into the conversation, I asked him, does he have something to eat? I said, I'm hungry. So he looks at me, what do you like? I said, chocolate rogalach. He said, I don't know if I have any. My Rebbe is not here at this point in time. Let me look around. He looks around the kitchen, very small home, and he finds and brings me back chocolate rogalach. I was astounded. Fine. I made a bracha in front of him. I'm eating in front of the Gadol door. Chocolate rogalach. Having a great time. And he's sitting there smiling away. And in between, interspersed, conversation takes place. Another half hour passes by. I said to him, I'm thirsty. He said, what would you like to drink? I said, hot tea. I like hot tea. So he said to me, okay, no problem. But I said, I need hot tea with lemon. So he said, I don't have lemon. What should I do? I said, I don't know. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll go to my next door neighbor and ask for lemon. He goes to his next door neighbor, shoots at the mashmo, leaves the house, leaves me there, proceeds to make me hot tea, lemon, asks me if I want sugar, what else do I want? So I thought this was natural. Obviously, this is how Doli Yisrael, this is how they generally behave. I didn't realize who he was. Although after a while, I began to see this man seems to be familiar with Kol HaTorah and seems to have knowledge everywhere, but with that infectious, perpetual, contagious smile that never left his face. At a certain point in time, about an hour and a half, literally, later, I leave the house. Before I leave, I ask him, can I come back again? He said, anytime you want. I said, can I get his man kavua? Can I get a fixed time? He gives me a fixed time. Fine. And I came back on a weekly basis for a year and a half. Every week. And then after a while, I began to realize, what am I doing? I'm asking him all my silly Billy questions. And you can look up at the kids of Shlomo. But I enjoyed this much more. Anyway, when I came back to Itri, after the first encounter with him, so I went ahead and I told the Chaverim, and it got to the Rabbeim, They said to me, Hishtagata? Are you off your rocker? Are you crazy? You asked the Gadol Hador, a Shiva of Kol Torah, to provide you with Bagalah. You eat it in front of him, and then you ask for hot tea, and he has to go out and get lemon for you. You're off the deep end. You need Slicha L'Kapara. Okay? So next time I went back, next week, I asked the Rosh Shiva for Slicha L'Kapara. He said, for what? I just did what any Machnis Oreach would do. I see you're an Oreach, clearly you're from America, that's what he told me. You're Hebrew, and everything else about you indicates that. And I have to be Machnis Oreach in a proper kind of way. That's what I'm doing. That's what I did. With a perpetual smile. I never saw in the course of a year and a half the man without a smile. I said, how in heaven's name does he do that? I had some connection with people from Brisk, without mentioning who they are, the Boston area. Anyway, they didn't seem to smile that much. As a matter of fact, there was a tension about them that was clearly evident. They were constantly in a state of, how should we say, of being unnerved. And somehow, he had this perpetual smile. Nothing seemed to impact him. Amazing. Just want to share with you what the maskana of that year and a half was. Doli Yisrael, besides being the most beautiful people in the world, we have people who are clearly, everyone has access to them, at least at that point in time. I don't know if that's the case today, I doubt it. But he was, the friendship and the warmth that he demonstrated to me was so astounding in my entire life. I never witnessed anything like it. Next story relating to also Auerbach. I had a problem in terms of where I'm going to work. When I came to Eretz Yisrael, I said a number of shiurim in about 11 Hesed yeshivas. In order to become a Ram, I was engaged in what they call Rabbaut. And so, part of being a Ram is to try to find a shiur where I could be able to present. And I was offered 5 different jobs in 5 different yeshivas. Wasn't happy with any of them. And out of nowhere came Hagoyin, Rabbi Brooklyn Zatzal, who passed away recently. He said they rehesped for him and offered me a job. In all the other yeshivas, I said shiurim in Hebrew, my tzarach in Hebrew, and his yeshiva didn't even ask me to say shiur. He just offered me a job. Shiur hey in the yeshiva, guys after tzabah, after the army, tremendous shiur, unbelievable. Very high level. I'm talking about the Talmidim, not the Rebbe necessarily. But, so, members of my family were not happy, and I also didn't know where to send my children, what schools I'm going to send them to. So I decided, I'm very friendly with Rabbi Shlita for many, many years. I know him from the days of the Rabbi's sons, the musical ensemble that he put together. And so I decided to send my kids to my Rabbi. That's the place to be. They have both Limud Kodesh, Limud Chol. That's the place to go. But I decided, because I was under a bit of lachatz from members of my family, that maybe we should ask a shayla of an Gadol. Who's there to ask? I only know one Gadol Batorah. I go to Zalman Auerbach. So I go to his home together with members of my family to see what exactly the story is. We come, and the members of my family, first they indicate to Zalman that he wants to work in a place, a yeshiva called Harav under the stewardship, leadership of Hagoyin of Chaim Krupin Zatzal, and that's not exactly our hashkafa. Says Shlomo Zalman in Yiddish. This conversation was conducted in Yiddish. Said to members of my family, "You have a monopoly of hashkafas? You have a monopoly on hashkafas? Dein hashkafa is the einzige hashkafa? Your hashkafa is the only hashkafa? There's no chasach hashkafas in Klal Yisrael. There are many hashkafas in Klal Yisrael, many perspectives, many different viewpoints." So that was quite a statement. And then, a moment later, he says that you can't Rab Chaim Druckman, and he calls him Chaimka. You know Chaimka? He said, member of my family? So I said, no. He says, I know him, almost 50 years of my life. What is he? He's a chefza of Mesiras Nefesh for Klal Yisrael. Kach l'shono hazahav shel Hagoyin v'shom Zalman Auerbach. A chefza of Mesiras Nefesh for Klal Yisrael. And by the way, that's what he was. His Ava, his love for Klal Yisrael was Mayim Rabbi lo yuchlu l'chabes his Ava and Horace lo yishtafuah. That's what he was. The Oyev Yisrael Shem Kol. Wow. That was blow number 2. Now comes blow number 3. Where am I sending my children? Ma'arava. What was the problem with Ma'arava? It's under the Chair of Avishai. The Gadol Hador. The Zkan, Rosh Yeshiva of the door. So Reb Chaim Drukin, after that, more or less dissipated. Now comes the next issue. Ma'arava, Chair, Avishai, says, Hagoy, Shlomo Zalman Zatzal, to a member of my family, was hat der Chair of Avishai zu tun mit deinem Bruder? For was schuldig? Why is he to blame for the Chair of Avishai? Has nothing to do with it. He's an American, coming from America. That's the ideal high school he should go to. Ideal. Ich ken Rabbi Chayit, he calls him Chayit, Rabbi Avishai. I know him very well. That is the makom to go to. And I said, several of my children, had a great experience there. They have something called secular studies. That's what I say. Secular studies, where someone might be able to make parnasa one day. So, I was astounded by Shlomo Zalman. Continued to be astounded by him in the course of the year and a half that I had a kesher with him, and he had his oldest son, Hagoy of Shmuel, was the Rosh Kollel and Itri at that time, also developed a connection with him. And so maybe I don't know what the time limitations are. I'm holding by the end. Wow, I just started. 3 more. Oh, excellent. Okay, so now I just want to share a number of different vignettes now. Most of what I'm going to share with you, I either heard from Hagoy of Rebbe Sol Shlita, the Talmud Bubba, of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Also, I heard from my Rebbe Hagoy of Avishai Zatzal, when he said a number of Divrei Hespedim, which I was present at, of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. So just to, again, comment on 1 or 2 items that I jotted down for myself. Mavar Lichtenstein told me on a number of occasions the following. He said that anytime he met Rosh Zalman Auerbach, by the way, one time I was present and I was talking to Rosh Zalman Auerbach and also Rabbi Lichtenstein, the Pirat Basin, and immediately Rosh Zalman literally no matter what, he stood up full, completely for the presence of Rabbi Lichtenstein, and then I told him, and Rabbi Lichtenstein confirmed it. This is one of my Talmidim from the days of the yeshiva in America. And again, this smile. So Rabbi Lichtenstein told me that every time he met Rosh Zalman Auerbach, he had a sense that he is a man who is anchored firmly on terra firma. On the other hand, he is at the same time Ba'olam Atzilus. He said about him, Yoyer Hashem Panav Enecha V'Chunecha, that somehow you see the countenance of Hashem Yisbarach, literally, the luminous quality that he radiated, that was fairly obvious. And Rabbi Lichtenstein cited to me a Rambam, and this he said a number of times about Shlomo Zalman, when the Mishnah writes, in Pirkei Avos, have been mekabel kol adam b'simcha. So the Rambam writes, Roy shetikabel kol adam ktana mugdolam, with a small person who's not so great, someone who's greater. Have been chorin v'ohevet kol echad mimin ha'adam b'sosin b'simcha v'zeh yosem mimashu hamashamai b'sev b'ponim yafos. And that's what Shlomo Zalman was all about. Kibel kol adam b'sev b'ponim yafos, even ktanim, young people like myself. And it was, to me, astounding. Shlomo Zalman was so moli simcha that even sometimes it was an extreme. Rabbi Nebetzol Shlita told me the following story that I saw later on cited, that when Rebbetzin Auerbach was nifter, it's also a very famous levaya. I was not at that levaya. I was at the levaya of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He was nifter when I came to Eretz Yisrael that year. But when his Rebbetzin was nifter, Shlomo Zalman said there's a practice that people ask a mechila from their spouse. But here we were married. I don't recall exactly how many years, between 50 and 60 years, probably over 55 years. There's no need to ask mechila for my spouse, nor does she have to ask mechila for me. We never had any interaction in our lives that was negative in nature. Never a word was spoken that was not in order, without the acheretz, without a overriding sense of ahava, of love and affection between husband and wife. My brother Shlita, who was there at the Rabbi, told me half the crowd fainted on the spot. They couldn't believe such a thing. 55 years of marriage, I was married 5 minutes, I was in trouble. How's that possible? So, Rav Nebenzahl tells me the following story. The day that his wife was nifter, I think she was nifter on Shabbos, so Rav Zalman went to the morgue in Shabbos Tzedek Hospital to take care of whatever had to be taken care of. And in the course of going to Shabbos Tzedek, on one of the floors, on the elevator, one of his Talmidim met him, and the Talmud was a tremendous simcha. Why? His wife had just given birth an hour or two ago in Shabbos Tzedek Hospital. Rav Zalman, here he is in the throes, in the midst of his wife's ptira, and right away, Rav Zalman gave this Avrech a tremendous mazel tov with an unbelievable smile. Kilo, nothing happened to him. Kilo, he was literally a situation that was absolutely without no connection to the fact that his wife was just nifter. That same unbelievable simcha Rav Zalman demonstrated his entire lifetime. I'll mention what I heard myself from Rav Nebenzahl Shlita, and also from Harav Lau, talking about not the chief rabbi, but his father, the former chief rabbi. Both of them I heard tell the following story. They both told that, I'm talking about Rav Sol Meir Lau, that Be'erev Yom HaZikaron v'Chalei Tzahal, that the following happened. A Talmud from the Yeshiva of Kol Torah came to Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He wanted to go ahead and visit Kivrei Tzadikim in the Galil. Shlomo Zalman said to him, "Why do you have to go to the Galil? Not far from here is Har Herzl. There are Anoshim," this is the Lashon of Rav Nebenzahl, "Anoshim shekulam kedoshim." They're all Kadosh. So they both asked the Rav, the Rosh Hashiva, what's the Makar? What's the source of that story? So he answered the following, that these people were Moshe Nefesh for Klal Yisrael, and the Gedolei HaPoskim write that a person, God forbid, who's killed because he's a Jew, has the status of a Kadosh. Never, there's no need to go to the Galil. One can go here in Har Herzl, and one can go visit Kivrei Tzadikim, the Psak of Hagoyin of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. I heard this from two people, from Yisrael Meir Lau, Sheibadol Chaim Arukim, and Rav Nebenzahl Sheibadol Chaim Arukim. It's unbelievable. I was zeicher to meet Rav Yitzchak Kulitz, the Rabbi of Yerushalayim, a number of times. I actually went to a number of his shiurim, massive Talmud Chacham. So he, in effect, amazing that Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach used to come to his shiurim. He's the Rabbi here, the Rabbi of Yerushalayim. Not only did he come to his shiurim, Nebenzahl told me he's to come earlier in order that he should be able to stand up. They say about the Adam and Ezokim when Rabbi Yitzchak Kulitz would come in before he said the Shir. Rabbi Yitzchak Kulitz was very embarrassed that he has to go ahead and say the Shir in front of the Gal Ador, one of the greatest Rosh Yeshiva in the generation. And yet Shlomo Zalman said, Derech Eretz demands that this is what I do. Rav Nebenzahl told me, I heard this from him also a number of times, because I had heard from someone who told me that Shlomo Zalman went to the bris of the grandson of Harav Avad Yosef Zatzal, and they honored him with Amirat HaBrachot at this bris. At that bris, Rav Nebenzahl told me that Shlomo Zalman, his Rebbe, what did he do? He actually said the brachot B'Avaras Faradit, using the Sephardic Havara. So they asked him, what's that all about? So he said, I'm in a tzibur of Sardim. It's proper covered to make the bracha, the female agam, according to their minhag. That's called Derech Eretz. And apparently a number of times, I've never told me also, he had aliyot in Sephardic synagogues, in Sephardic shuls, and there also, he followed a similar kind of course, and that's exactly also what he did, making bracha, again, primarily, Rav Nebenzahl told me, out of Kvod Azulat, because of the covenant that he had for all individuals that he came into contact with. Those who know, I never saw his name published on a Pashkevillia. I was astounded. Every other Rav, every other Gadol Torah, every other Miflaga signed their names on these Pashkevillias. And they translate Pashkevillias, all these white placards that they are busy all day and all night, all over Yerushalayim, all over Beit Shemesh, all over the place. Never signed his name. Why not? I asked Harav Nebensold also. He said that because one reason, namely, he didn't want to be involved at all in anything having to do with politics. Rabbi Nebensold told me the following story. He said that a number of times there were placards that were posted in Yerushalayim that had some involvement with politics, and there were some very famous Rabbanim signed onto it. And so Rabbi Shlomo Zalman told him he hopes those placards will be removed, and if they don't remove them, I'm going to remove them. In one or two cases, they were against Harav Kook Zatzal. And Rabbi Shlomo Zalman was absolutely not get all of Haba. Why? Because he got it every Shal Shudas by Rav Kook, and he was worried he was going to lose his Olam Haba based on Gemaras and Tainis and all kinds of other Cheshbanot v'Chishuvim. Okay, I gather that I'm almost at the end of my rope, and I just began. But I'll just end by pointing out that this giant, in terms of Yashrus, in terms of honesty, which was so incredible, he had so many amazing Piskei Halacha. One of them that always I found to be astounding, when you're inviting someone to work in your home, you're non-frum, not observant, chiloni kind of person, and the question is, can I give him to drink, to eat, because he's not going to make a bracha? So Zalman Paskin, yes, against many other poskim, because God forbid if you don't, who knows, the sinner that might be created will even have more negative repercussions. Unbelievable, these kinds of Piskei Halacha, a sensitivity to all the sensibilities of human beings. I came to the Levaya, and this I'll be Messiahim. There was the entire taxi cab company of Baitagan was there. So I see a lot of, literally, must be 100 taxi drivers. So I went over to 3 or 4 of them, and I said, Ma ta sepo? He said, Ma ni sepo? Ze Harav shali. This is my Rebbe, this is my Rabbi. I said, you don't exactly look too observant to me. The fellow was without a kippah. And why is he a rabbi? He said, I'm his literally personal driver, Nehag HaYishiv Shalo, Shel Maran Harav. And I used to drive him to the yeshiva and back, and he engaged me in conversation. He talked to me about Torah topics. I am an illiterate, unlettered kind of person in Torah topics, but he's supposed to be about my life, about my family. What a ni'imut I had talking to this man. I spoke to 4 taxi drivers, all more or less echoed the same idea. And remember, Rabbi Nebensold told me, I asked him, why don't you call Rabbi Shlomo Zalman the way I call him? Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, like you did in mine. I never called him that. Maran Harav Zatzal. So he said, if I were to call him Rabbi Shlomo Zalman as you do, I would start shaking. I would not be able to even handle the situation to weather it. What an Adam Gadol. What a luminary. What an unbelievable openness to all of Klal Yisrael. What a sensitivity that he possessed. Halavai, that we should la'oro nelech, we should go in his light and try to model ourselves after this unbelievable Gadol B'Torah, Moli B'Gadosh Ava to all of Klal Yisrael.